Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Future Podcast. This is the first recording that we are doing with a guest. It's a little off to say guest because we have Reuben Mathew with us, and he's a dear friend of mine. How are you doing, Reuben? Before I get into introductions, how are you doing?
Doing great. I'm doing great. Very excited to be here and speak about what we're going to speak about today. And
Yeah.
Mahat, how are you, man?
I'm
I
good,
think
dude. It's still early for me. Usually
it's
we
still
record in
early.
the evening,
So,
so
so we're from three different time zones as of now. So I think this is the
Yeah.
best time to make it work.
Yeah.
yeah.
This is like our first attempt at the trifecta of time zones.
And
So
and yeah, and having someone else on the
yep.
on the podcast to have another voice. So
Mhm.
But
I think we are yeah, I think we are like up for a good conversation about. You want to introduce the topic, Rupen, or let's go?
Yeah, so the topic that we're going to talk about today is mainly about personal finance and like financial literacy. Because I think for our generation, we are we're so used to instant gratification and about doing things now. We don't think about the future. So I thought this is a good topic to bring about to the future podcast. So here we
Nice.
And it's potentially quite an important one because it'll dictate how our lives go. Like if we don't make the right decision, there might be times in our life when we struggle if we don't do what's necessary right now. So
Mhm.
again, we are not the best at it, but like at least we have initiated the conversation and we have taken certain steps in our personal life at improving our finances and productivity as well. So we hope to share that with you. And we're also opening to hearing any ideas that you guys, our listeners, might have in the comments.
Yeah.
So,
But before we jump into the serious bit, I want to know like how you guys met and how your history and what Ruben is
Well,
really
I
interested
think
in.
we met in school. I was a science student, and he was a commerce student, but we were right next to each other in class. And I think towards the end of my first year in science, I'm like, screw this. I can't do it anymore. I'm jumping to commerce because I need friends like Aaron in my life. And then, so my parents still tell like, oh, you moved to commerce only because you wanted to chill with Aaron. I'm like, no, that was not the only reason, but yeah, that did play an important role in my life. So yeah, so that's how we met. We met through school, and yeah, we've been friends since then. He's come to Bangalore twice,
yeah,
once.
twice. One was a shorter visit, one was a little more exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Right?
yeah, so also one more thing I wanted to say before we start on this topic is more like a disclaimer. Like, we are not seasoned professionals. We do not, encourage everybody to do the things that we have tried. We have tried certain things. We have excelled at it. We have failed at it. We made our mistakes. What we're going to talk about here and share are mostly our personal experiences and what we think about the topic, and also things about what we've learned from reading books and watching YouTube videos and TED talks, and what we have implemented in our lives. So this is no way financial advice. So please take it with a grain of salt when it comes to our experiences. Yeah, go ahead.
Like, yeah, we gotta run that disclaimer like all these investment companies ads. They'll have this quick readout of some disclaimer.
Mutual fund investment subject to market risk. Please see the document. Yeah, before investing.
Yeah. So where are we starting?
So, one of the few topics that we chose or decided to start with was credit cards. So, me and Ruben was having a conversation. Okay, I would like to say that even when we are not recording an episode, the reason why this topic makes natural sense for us is me and Ruben have conversations on this topic every now and then. So yeah, so we were having a similar conversation yesterday when we were like trying to structure this podcast, and an interesting thing that came up was like credit cards. So I personally do not use credit cards, but Ruben has more experience with them. So
Yeah.
yes.
I mean,
Uh,
I generally have a, I mean, as a layman, as a guy who was like really weak in finance, as opposed to you both, I have no idea about credit cards, except I know that it is not, it can go out of hand. That's all that I know. I don't know much of the legal things. I don't know where and how the traps are. So,
I think you're right. I mean, it can go out of hand if not controlled properly. So I myself took a credit card, I think after almost 1.5 to 2 years since I started working. So in my first 1 year, I was like, no, I don't need a credit card. I wouldn't use it. What would I need a credit card for? I'm just, 25, 23 years old. I wouldn't need anything. But then I started, researching about credit cards, why credit cards, what can I use, what can I do better, what can I do different. So that's when I came across articles where you can redeem your credit card points and book free flights, get free movie tickets and all that. So that kind of excited me. And so then I started reading about it, how to have a healthy credit card lifestyle and not going overboard. So I think the first thing you can do, and also another important thing that I feel like with credit cards is, since we are young, the only credit score we can build up is through a credit card, because we usually don't have home loans or car loans or student loans. If we are lucky enough to not take student loans, then yeah, we do not have student loans. So the only source of the banks to see that you are worthwhile, you are credit worthy, is a credit card. And that is something that we can inculcate in ourselves as young adults, and use that as an opportunity to build a credit score, because having a good credit score does matter in the long run. It helps you reduce your interest rates, it helps you get loans and other credit source of credits easily. So again, that was one of my major motivation to get a credit card. But I was like you said, I was very scared to use it. I got my credit card in November, and my first ever use of my credit card happened in February. Because in November, December, January, I didn't know what to do. I was afraid of what would happen, how do I pay it back on time. So yeah, so these are the kind of things that I had a little. These were my concerns as well. But again, this is not to encourage everybody to take credit card. This is just more like my personal experience with it. So I was telling Adam recently, like, just because I use my credit card, I got 4 movie tickets free that my friends and I went to watch. So you get a lot of benefits out of it, but you have to also be disciplined enough to not go beyond your limit, because credit card debt is a real thing and is really crushing.
Yeah. And we were talking about some of the guidelines that you follow to make sure that you don't fall into any sort of trouble. And can we walk through that?
So this is some of the personal rules that I follow. So I usually have a set amount of savings. For this example, let's just say my savings is around 50,000 rupees, and my credit card limit is around 70,000. So I make sure that I do not ever spend more than 50,000. That is my current saving that I have in my hand as physical cash that I can, in case of an emergency, spend. And I mostly also not try not to spend more than 30% of my credit limit, because that is what is advised by the banks, like not to spend more than 30% of your credit limit. So if you have a 1 lakh credit limit, they suggested not to spend more than 30,000 of that, because that helps you pay back your credit on time, and it helps and thus increase your credit score. So that is one thing I personally follow. And also, if I'm buying something out of my credit card, like with my credit card on EMI, I would also again make sure to do the same thing. So if I cannot buy that with the physical cash that I have right now, I would not use my credit card on it. I basically use my credit card as a debit card.
okay.
So how much money I have in my account, I would use the same amount in my credit card. It's just that I charge it on my credit card, so I get these points and discounts and offers and all that.
Added benefits.
Added benefits, yeah.
Okay. But I mean, of course, there has to be like interest rates for credit cards also, like for these repayments.
Definitely, there are interest rates on credit cards, and they are definitely very high. But they are only applicable if you don't pay them on time. So suppose the date that I have to pay it on is like 20th of April. If I paid off by 19th of April, then there's no interest on my credit card. Whatever I've paid, whatever I've borrowed from the bank, I've paid it back. So
is it a monthly thing? Is it a monthly thing or? Okay, so
it is a monthly thing. Like every month you have like a statement that is generated. So in the end, they will tell you how much you have to pay them back. So if you pay them back on time, then there's no credit. I mean, there's no interest on it. My bad. So
And
again,
one potential, sorry, so you're doing it primarily for the added perks that you get with the credit card.
yeah,
And
definitely.
there's one bit of resource that I can drop in. There's a website called The Points Guide. Have you heard of it?
No,
So
I haven't.
because I wasn't interested in credit cards, I didn't deep dive into it, but I was introduced to him on one of the podcasts that I listened to. So he primarily, his main focus is on how to maximize which cards give you the most points, how to redeem that, all of that. So there's a whole website. It's called The Points Guide.
Oh, okay. I've actually heard a story about one guy who traveled the world with just his credit card points. Is that him? Is that
His name is Brian Kelly. I'm not sure if it's the same person.
I'm not sure of his name, but I did hear about his stories. That's one of the few things that got me excited and interested to apply for a credit card. Because the moment you get a job, right, in India, at least the moment you start a salary account, you keep getting calls for starting a credit card. They will give you for free first 1 year. There's no membership fees, nothing. So they kind of tempt you to getting one. So in India, it's like a whole other scenario with credit cards. And now we also have apps like Cred and all that help you pay your credit card bills on time, track your expenses, and as well as gain some points through Cred. So sometimes if I'm buying a shampoo, for example, if I'm buying it from Amazon or Flipkart or any other online retail store vendors, I would be buying for 500 rupees. But if I'm buying it from Cred, I'm just giving an example, another medium that helps you pay your credit card bill. So they have their own online shopping centers type. So if I'm buying the same product, instead of 500, I might only have to pay around 420, 450 because you're using your credit card. So they will get you credit card points within the app that you can redeem for purchases later. So these are kind of motivation to save some money. Maybe the extra 50 bucks that you save, you can maybe, I don't know, buy another juice or invest it into some pocket change that you can, later use.
Yep.
So yeah. And also speaking of financial literacy, financial freedom and all of that, what is your motivation to start something like this for yourself, tracking your expenses and all of that? What do you think? Why would you do something like that?
Yeah, that's a perfect question. For me, it's I like control, and also I really want to be in control of my own time and freedom. And also big ambitions of all of that. Money or finance is quite essential. So that's my primary motivator.
What about you? Mahat, do you have something you would like to add about?
It's about the same, dude. I want independence comes tied in with money. I mean, in the current world. So the better financial resources you have, it opens up more experiences.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I am really bad at tracking my expenses. And I hope by the end of this, I get more ideas to at least, motivate myself to start tracking my expenses properly. And yeah, I feel bad that I never learned economics in school. That economics is not a basic subject that everyone should be taught in curriculum, because we are living in a world which is controlled by money, which is run with money. And in India, we don't have economics. It's a choice. You got to choose this or that. And then after 12th, you are put into a system where it's all about money and nobody knows shit about how to save. So I want that all to change.
No, I totally get it. I think education, I think our curriculum never taught about financial literacy. They would never teach you about all the important stuff like filing your taxes, how to reduce your taxable income. You have to always learn it through an external source. I think the school education never even motivates us to save and invest. They always tell us to save and put in a bank. Whereas due to inflation right now, any money you put in the bank is eaten away. Suppose especially in India, you have around 6 to 7% as inflation rate, and your bank's FD, they give you around 3 to 4%, plus their FD charges will come up to around 6 to 7%. So basically your money is going down. So 1,000 rupees you save today, next year is worth 980 rupees. I mean, not the math is incorrect. I'm just giving an example.
If everybody is okay with it, like, so those Excel files that I spoke about, I actually created like just blank versions that I would like to share. Like,
Yes.
I can share my screen.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
the idea is we could potentially add it as a resource. If anyone wants to download it, they can download it and use it for themselves.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So,
yeah, go ahead. And you would walk us through it, right? You would walk us through your
yes.
Excel.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
And in the meanwhile, I was browsing through this website. This is the points guy.
The points guy. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the website. I thought he had his own podcast channel, but I couldn't find that. So I think it's just a website. But he has come as guests on other podcasts.
Okay.
So I'll start off with this. This is quite a basic. You guys can see this part, or is it covered with video?
No, I can see.
Yeah, I mean, you can move this. I can.
Okay, so basically what
you gotta move that, I guess, Aaron, since you're recording. Okay, you gotta move if it's covered.
I've moved it.
Yeah, cool. Let's go.
So it's broken down daily and into categories of expenses. There's just one column for inflows. And then this is where the monthly budget is. These are my categories. Anyone can feel free to add whatever they want to. And then at the end, this is like the total that you've spent for the month. This is how much you have budgeted. And then this will be like whether you've gone over or above, basically.
Is this in a particular currency that you're showing right now?
What do you mean?
Is this in dirhams or?
Yeah, this is in dirhams, yeah.
Okay.
But then these numbers are not supposed to mean much. I was actually supposed to delete them, but anyways. Yeah, it's quite a basic thing. Helps me stay within line, and like it gives me something tangible. Like in case some sort of expense comes up that I haven't planned for, or like if I kind of go overboard with spending, I can kind of like I have something tangible to play around with, like the budgets, and I can move things around. So in that way, it helps me.
How do you manage your expenses when you do go overboard? Like suppose your budget is like 100 rupees or 100 dirhams, and suppose you spend 110, 120. Where does that 110, 120 come from? Are you taking it from your savings, or are you like arranging it within your other categories?
Ideally, so generally as a person, I go on the not pessimist. Like I take the worst case scenario. So even so, like here there's this thing called estimated free cash. So usually there'll be some money over here which hasn't been allocated for anything, and it could either, that extra spending could either be coming out of this, or if there's nothing here, it will be coming out of the cash reserves. So there's only two options. That's where it comes out of. But if I have slack within the other areas of my budget, I'll move things around. Like for example, like this month was like my birthday month, and like I didn't really budget to buy food for my colleagues, and so that came in as an like additional expense. But I was quite adamant on not breaking past my budget. So I had allocated money to be spent outside, like on extracurriculars and stuff. So I made the trade-off saying that I want to stick within the budget, and like whatever I allocated to spend outside on my weekends for this month at least, I'll write that off, and like that's what I spent as the birthday treat. So that's an example of how I like move my budget around.
Do you have like a percentage amount that you would normally allocate to, like 30% I will on this, or 10% I will save? Is it like a percentage for you, or is it variable every month depending on what you want to do with the money?
Only these two portions are percentage based, like in an investing reserve and a cash reserve. Only those two are percentage based. For food, it's mostly based on experience of like how much I'll need to spend to have like a decent, like a good balance.
Survive.
All of that. Yeah.
Are you surviving or are you living, Aaron?
Nah, I'm okay. I wouldn't say like I'm the most satisfied with my diet, but I'm fine. Like I'm not just surviving, but yeah, it can improve. Yes.
Definitely. I mean, I think all of our lives can improve when it comes to, yeah. And I think we're all just young and starting out, so we're still not sure what to do with our money. And so I think being young, no, tends us to spend more money thinking about, we will save it later. Like from next year, I will start saving. I think that's a constant thought I keep having. Like, do I really need like an air fryer? Am I really going to be using it? Like, I mean, I have a lot of kitchen gadgets that I've bought that are just there. I've used it once, maybe twice. I'm like, I can save next year.
Aaron, I have a question for
Yeah,
you. Like, this is a routine thing. So, what I also find it hard for myself is to stick to a routine. So, when do you like fill this out? Do you in a day? Is there a time for you? Is there a
most of
plate?
my expenses are done by card. So the ideal scenario is as soon as I spend something, I have like this Excel app on my phone as well. Like so, I literally, if you logically think about it, it's literally just a few seconds. Like I just have to open the sheet and put in the number. So that is, and like at least for the past few days and weeks, I've been doing that. In case I start slacking, I'll refer back to the SMSs that I get from my bank so that I can enter them there. If cash gets involved and I'm lazy, like I'll just try to keep a mental note. So yeah, but ideally it happens as soon as you spend the money.
Yeah, so
for me,
the app helps basically. Yeah, so apps.
So Mahat, yesterday
So,
Aaron and I we were just talking about like expense tracking apps. So he said in Dubai like there aren't many expense tracking apps, but in India we do have quite a few. What about like over there for you?
we are using Splitwise
So
mainly.
Splitwise uses your messages to track your expenses as
No,
well.
I have downloaded such apps, but I haven't followed through with it.
Okay, yeah.
See, that's how bad I am right now.
No. I mean, I think
starting is the hardest part, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, definitely. Starting is the hardest part. Like, I mean, sometimes you save money. Like, people tell you to save, so you save money, but you don't know what to do with that money, so you just keep it idle. So, yeah, I had that problem. I kept saving, and I had no idea what to do with that money. Like, should I again splurge? Should I again like invest it somewhere? So yeah.
Investing, yeah, we gotta talk about investing, stocks, a lot of things.
Let me run through the other sheets.
Yep. I feel like this can help me. This can also put some.
I mean, if you have an automated system, that will be best. Yeah, but that doesn't exist for me, or I'm not aware of it.
But I feel we feel like consciously fill it out. It will make us more aware of it,
Definitely.
Yeah, you'll need to have a review period. Yeah, even if it's automated, you'll have to review it. This is a calendar that I've built. Again, potentially to the point that you said of like I manually fill it out. For whatever reason, I have an aversion towards using like Google Calendar or any other calendar. So I built out this basic format for myself.
Wow, you really did take the time and effort to go individual hours, huh? Like,
yeah. I mean, I would actually go minute wise also, but that will be quite.
I don't think you have that many Excel, like
yeah, on Excel that will be like dead difficult. So I mean, what I can say right now, because what I do is like within an hour, if I have multiple things to do, like I'll basically just write it as bullet points, like record. I can't figure out how to go to the next line. There we go. And so I'll make it like bullet points like this. And so then I know like within this hour I have to do multiple things. Yeah. Helps me quite a bit. Helps me quite a bit in staying on top of things, because I had that problem of not having personal deadlines, and that kind of screws things up.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you have.
Yeah.
I see one more sheet.
That's this, and it's like a master file of all tasks that I have to do. It might have been helpful, but I'm not going to show my actual one. So basically, these are the columns when I put it in, and when I put the month as well, so that in case I want to check what all happened in the month, I can easily just filter it by month. On or by is like if I put a date, like the due date here. If I put the due date here, on or by is basically, was I supposed to do it on that day, or was I supposed to do it by that day? So that when I'm scheduling it in my calendar, I can either put it on that day, or I need to find time for that. Yeah. Due month, task name, description. Category is basically like personal or work. Stakeholders, it's like that task, who does it impact? that might help. That might help me like in thinking how I need to execute the task. Status is basically like upcoming, in progress, completed, delayed, one of these four. Remarks might be like feedback, like if something was delayed, I like keep track of like I have one task which was supposed to be done. I've pushed it past like 4 times now. We did not consider this.
Well, I mean, dude, this is quite professional, like professionally made, like thinking about what, when, yeah. I mean, I'm definitely borrowing this from you. Like, I need this.
Okay. Cool.
I know I'm borrowing the expense one anyway. This is a little too much for me right now, but one day.
But I will highly recommend it. Like, don't put it off for too later. Like, it is quite important that you, like, it's better not to keep it all in your head, and so like making it tangible is quite important.
So anyway, we'll be linking this in the description. Yeah.
Yep.
So
I
if anybody wants to download.
Yes.
So we need to talk about investing and more methods of saving than just putting it in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Go first. I'm no expert. You guys are the.
None of us are experts here. That's what we said in the beginning, right?
Yeah,
we were not seasoned professionals.
Yeah.
Disclaimer. So for me, like personally, I think saving is hard, like for me, because like suppose a certain amount of income, like it's like to consciously put it away is hard, because knowing that I have this much money left and I can maybe do something with, maybe go out with my friends or go for a party or buy something new. It's really hard and really tempting. So, and one thing that I have done is I have automated it. So every month at a particular date, this amount goes. Now I can stop it. I have to take a conscious effort again to stop it. I have to so I think for me, something that works well is like systematic investment, like SIPs. Have you heard of them before? So SIPs are basically like, where you systematically take a portion of your money and put it in a place. That place can be anywhere, like it can be a bank, it can be a mutual fund, it can be into stocks, cryptos, anything. But it's just systematic. So every month on a particular date, you can set up like a mandate from your bank and they will do it for you. So you don't have to think about it. One. Second, if you have to stop it, you have to let them know early. Like you can't, on that day, you can't suddenly remember like, oh no, this money is going to go. I need to stop it. It won't happen. So as long as it's not in the back of your head, like, you have to put that money out. That's something that helped me. Like, do you, Aaron, have, or like Manmar, have any strategy like that you would use?
I for the time being, it's only putting aside 10% of my finances aside. Like I have a personal scenario right now where that reserve is being eaten up but by another area of my life. But but I'm expecting to get that liquidity back in the future. Look at me using all fancy words. But yeah, when so that reserve exists, and I'll decide where to use it in the future. We can talk about methods of like how do we like analyze companies. I think that's there are like two concerns that I have with the whole like putting money in the stock market. One is like whether it's a bad time to do it. Like even if you do a systematic thing, considering, or this might just be because of the media that I'm reading, but just hear me out. Considering how propped up the system is by government spending and government printing of money, will it continue the same way, or will there be a downfall? And in that scenario, the wealth building part basically gets wiped off. Like it'll take you considerably longer to build wealth. So like, how do we tackle that? That's like a question that I haven't answered yet. Second thing is just how do you identify companies?
Okay. Is this question directed towards me, like personally? How do I do it, or
yeah? I'm sure you have thoughts about the scenario. So.
So I think for me, how do I analyze companies? I think it's going to sound very, very like it's not professional at all. It's not the right way to do it. I mean, for me, normally there are a lot of like technical analysis, fundamental analysis, and all that you can do. But as a layman, as a common man, and that's what I am. I don't do any of these analysis. I look at two things. For me, first, I try to see what that company does. If it's something that I personally believe in, like for example, a company like that produces chemicals that are not completely biohazard. For example, just giving a company A, for example, company A tries to build chemicals that are sustainable, that can be biodegradable, as well as not very harmful for the environment as much. So that is something for me personally. Again, it's a personal vision for me, where I want to like build a sustainable future for us. So if I see a company that does something like this, I tend to personally stick to it. I would like to support that company. Now, before I support that company, I also need to make sure that the company is also doing well, because I am not, an institutional investor. I'm a retail investor. So retail investors are normally individuals like you and I who are out of, the market, and we would like to, buy and sell stocks based on the economy. And institutional investors are normally people who are like Warren Buffett and Elon Musk and all of that, who can buy shares in companies that are not publicly listed as well. Who can talk to the board and get some money, like what's happening with Twitter right now and Elon Musk. So so for me personally, these are two things that I look for. One is the company's vision and mission, so that you can normally find out from the memorandum of the company or any annual filings, returns of the company. You can go ahead, you can see what they have done, what are their future plans. So if that's something that you can personally resonate with, and you also think that that there is scope for it, just using our common common knowledge of our market and our country's perspective towards that market. Second thing I would look at is the profit and loss statement. So if it's a company that is more than 5 years old, I know this sounds like technical, but it is not. It's not. If you just open their profit and loss, which is freely available for almost every company, in their annual returns you can see. If consistently, as in the past 5 years, suppose their profit is 20 lakhs, the next year is 22 lakhs, next year is 30 lakhs, you can see that their profit is even ever so slightly, but if it's increasing, that's a good sign. Mm-hmm. Again, don't take this at face value. This is something that I look at. It's not financial advice at all. But this is something that, these are just two things. I look at only these two things. Because I'm not someone who looks at like different different aspects of a company, and to see what or who their board of directors are and all of that. I don't check any of that. These two things. And as of now, it has not uh, put me in a bad spot yet. So I have consistently gotten good returns, or at least I haven't booked a loss yet. So that's something that I think is a tried and tested method for me that worked out. Again, not always true. It might not always work out. Maybe if, for example, this sustainable company that I'm talking about that produces chemicals in sustainable way, maybe tomorrow if the government comes and puts in an order saying that this particular chemical is banned and this particular chemical is what their main source of revenue is, then that company is screwed. So it's always subjected to debate as in what can and what cannot work. But this is something that I've personally seen work for me. What about you, like Aaron, Mahat? Do you have something that you guys?
I think Mahat was trying to say something.
Oh yeah, I mean that is about. It could be a really good way to get into the whole thing as a beginner.
Yeah.
For those who have never done it, the method you said, it sounds very simple. It's not that complicated, but it's also been working for you. So for those who are listening who have ideas about investing stock and getting into the stock scene, I think that's a good method to start out. And even if you're interested further, you can become better at it, go into deeper analysis. Thing with me is I don't have a steady income right now. I don't have a job, so I'm not investing anything right now as of now, and that is also that's also why I don't have a proper expense thing management. But yeah, once it's all, I should lay the groundwork.
It will still benefit you because like the first few years when I came to Dubai, I was also living like without a job, like but still keeping track of it you will be able to skim some off and you can like put that aside and it'll help you. Like it's better if you do that.
Definitely.
So if I were to talk about analyzing companies myself, the last time I did it, I was trying to like evaluate biopharmaceuticals. Yeah. So few things that I did were like I was trying to get a sense of the founder of the company. So I basically listened to a lot of his speeches, his talks, and then I'll like try to put in my own judgment and play and see like whether I feel the product that company is trying to build, is it really like groundbreaking? Does it have the scope of becoming something huge? That's how I was trying to analyze it, and then I was applying my own judgment in terms of like what I think about the qualities of the CEO. Then on a balance sheet or like a fundamental analysis sort of things, something that I am always interested in checking is like the level of debt that they have and how much cash they have on hand. And like a lot of the companies that I checked in that the biopharmaceutical space were companies that IPO'd recently, and so they all had quite a hefty amount of cash on hand. But something that started throwing me away from those companies were the like the retained earnings. So I'll give like the retained earnings is basically like since you started the company. If you've had profits, it's like the accumulation of all those profits for how many ever years you've been running. And if you've been running at a loss since you started, it's the accumulation of like all the losses. That's like the retained earnings. So a lot of retained. Yeah. So all of those biopharmaceuticals that had been running for quite a long time, and most of them had like multi-$100 million negative retained earnings, and that just kind of put me off. But it's understandable. I like research for the pharmaceutical field is not going to be easy. They're literally trying to come up with something new. But that aspect of it put me off. That's pretty much what I look at usually. Then I do try to skim through their. So I primarily look at the US market. So they have the Form 8Q. That's what they have for quarterly filings, and 8K, 8K I believe, or 10K is for annual filings. So then they have like a lot of commentaries that you can read through. Just check like if there's some like new bit of information that is like potentially interesting, stuff like that.
So this is a more deeper level of analysis when we compare to Reuben's, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I haven't taken action on any of them so far. Yeah, okay. So that's a good segue into like what I have done, which is a mess up of yeah. I wouldn't recommend like, so. It's part of my own restlessness. So instead of doing proper analytics, and then like if you're not happy with something, just sit on your hands, don't do anything with the money. But what I've done is just follow into hype cycles, or just like, it's so easy to invest, press a button and
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for hype cycles, it has happened to me too. Like, recently, I'm not very much into the crypto scene yet. I mean, I have bought, I have sold, but in India, it was like a gray area where you couldn't, or you could. So recently, like a law came back saying, yeah, fine, you can go ahead, buy and sell cryptos. So that's when I started again. And at that time, I was so off the market that when I joined, the first thing that I heard was about a particular crypto. I just bought it. I put 5,000 rupees on it. And you wouldn't believe, you wouldn't believe that my timing was so bad, and I just went with the hype so badly. I put 5,000 rupees. I woke up next day to my balance. It became 2,000 rupees. At 5,000 reduced to 2,000. Like that's how bad it was. Like I just lost 3,000 rupees in a matter of one day, just because I didn't do my research. I was like, okay, I'm just coming back into the crypto scene. Okay, that crypto looks nice, I'm just going to buy it. I didn't even think it through. But yeah, I think that's a common mistake. I think we all make, like, sometimes just going with the hype. Sometimes, we would feel like we would have missed out on the right time to buy it. So we just rather buy it now. Just imagine people who said, you know what, Bitcoin is not going to go further than what, $2,000. Imagine right now what are they doing, like, and imagine people who bought it at a very low price. So I think as human beings, we have this innate nature of feeling left out, FOMO, like, So I think sometimes we do give in to the hype of, like you said, like, just need to do something with the money that is there. Just click a button and it's done, right? So
yeah. Also coming back to like how much percentage should one ideally keep aside for investing and as cash reserves? Why should we have cash reserves? I mean, yeah, let me hear your thoughts. What do you think? What are your methods? Do you have a percentage?
I think it's like an arbitrary number at this point. And also, like, again, it's 10% for each for me, cash reserves and investing. And it's primarily because at this point, at my income level, I can't set aside more. Like, this is probably how much I could stretch it to. Why to have cash reserves? Just for that sake of safety. Yeah, just for the sake of safety. Like, I think
net, like an emergency fund, right?
I'm aiming at having like at least 3 months of emergency reserve, which on paper I have hit, but like in liquidity, it's still being, yeah, that's a personal thing. But yeah, 3 months is what I'm aiming for. Yep.
Yeah, like Aaron said, like, it is recommended that you have an emergency fund of around 3 to 6 months of your income, so that at a time, in case of an emergency, in case of a job loss, you are not worried about, the next 3 to 6 months, that you already have the cash reserve with you. So I think, and so if you're going to start investing, like if it's just your beginning, like this is your day one, I'd suggest, instead of investing it anywhere, your first ever investment should be to your personal emergency fund. Like build that up first. It will take time. It's not something that can happen over a year. Also, sometimes it will take up to 2 to 3 years to build that 6 months. Because I mean, 6 months of your salary. Imagine in India, if you someone who starts off with a 5 lakh annual salary, which is not a lot, but this is an average salary that we all started out with, usually in India. So in India, if you start off with a 5 lakh annual salary, 6 lakh means 2.5 lakh, right? 6 months of your annual salary, around 2.5 lakh. So to build 2.5 lakh of liquid cash that is sitting in your bank is quite hard. Like it would probably take you around 2 years to do that. But it's a suggestion, and also from all the videos and things that I've read, it is also suggested to do the same. Like take that time off from investing, because yeah, you have time to invest, but I think the first thing to do is build a safety nest so that you're not afraid of taking risks later on when you invest as well. Because sometimes you sometimes you might see a great opportunity. So example like IPOs in India, right? IPOs in India usually would take around 15,000 rupees to invest in one IPO minimum, or 15 to 14 to 15,000. So imagine you want to so badly want to apply for a particular IPO, but you don't have the 15,000 rupees with you. So then all your analysis, all your research for that IPO wouldn't make sense if you can't implement it, right? So again, so safety, like a safety net. If you have some money with you that you can take from it later, in case for an emergency of investing, that's a good place to start with. Like, having a reserve of cash. So I'd suggest maybe around, again, how much of you can, but 10% is a minimum maybe. So if you make around 25,000 rupees in a month in India, around 2,500 to 3,000 rupees every month, if you can put aside, slowly, over a period of 1 year, that will become around 35, 36,000. So maybe you can start include or improving it as well. Instead of like 2,500, maybe from next month, you can, if you see a little more, 3,000, 3,500, small amounts you can increment it by. And maybe over a period of 2 to 3 years, you can build an emergency fund of at least 3 to 6 months. This is something I have personally tried and it worked for me. I was able to build an emergency fund for around 3 to 6 months, which I again used it all completely. But yeah, but at least I had that to fall back on. So
yeah. And it helped you in the path that the next step that you wanted to take. So
yeah.
Yeah. What else do we have? You spoke about IPOs, initial public offering, right? So that's the moment when companies go public. I'm sure there are people who are not really aware of it. Should we talk about it, or is it something too simple?
I don't think there's much that I can share on that.
It is just when the company goes public, right? They just offer their shares for people to buy. So that's first time it appears on the stock market.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first time they come into the stock. So usually companies normally do that so that they want to raise more funds. That's like their main reason to do it. So that because suppose I'm a company that manufactures cars, okay, and I have certain investors that are in and doing very well, but I have a bigger plan for it. Like I want to go public so that I can raise more money, a lot more than individual investors can give me. If I'm raising it from the public, it's a lot more, right? So now imagine like 1 lakh people giving around 15,000 rupees each. That's a lot of money coming from different people. So the risk is also mitigated by it, like when it's coming from different people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one reason normally companies go for IPOs to like raise a lot of money. And during their IPOs, right, they have a sheet like where they mention what they're going to do with the money as well. So us as public retail investors, we can read it and we can see how, okay, he's going to use my money for building another factory or another plant for manufacturing more cars. So that will probably help in the economy and the company's development and all of that. So that is something that you can read and see if you want to be part of that company as well.
So to that point, like when I was talking about those biopharmaceuticals, like I came across a couple of them who had IPO'd primarily because they needed cash for operational purposes. So that's not a healthy sign of like you need to raise capital just to run your business.
Exactly. I think you've heard of Paytm, right? In India, it's a very large platform. I use it on a regular basis, but I didn't apply for their IPO because it was clearly they were not able to run their business, and they wanted to raise money to run their business. That wasn't a good sign for me personally. So I never did. I never applied for it.
So how did you know that? How did you know they weren't doing well when they listed the IPO? What did you look at some document or?
Yeah, so for me personally, what I do is I watch a lot of videos. Like, so right when the IPOs are about to come, right? So many YouTubers who give technical analysis, who like for us, for like common people like us, they will explain it and they will give you facts. They won't tell you to invest or not invest. They will give you facts and then they will let you decide. If this is okay with you, if these pros and cons are okay with you, you can invest. If these pros and cons are not okay with you, then you know you don't have to invest. You can stay away from that. So there are channels that I can recommend that would do analysis on these IPOs. So you can watch those videos first and maybe form an idea of what's going to happen and what they're going to use that money for. These are all publicly available information, by the way, like a prospectus and all of that. You can always download it from the company website or anything. So these are all information that you. So if you, so for me, I'm not much of a person who would do too much research. I would rather watch a video where someone explains it to me. So that's what I have done. I watch videos where they explain about these particular IPOs, what they're going to do with it, how is it going to go on. And they show it with numbers and with Excels and graphs and all that. So it makes you understand, like it gives you a better understanding of what the company is about. And that's usually how I make a decision on whether I want to apply for an IPO or not. I've applied for 2 IPOs as of now. I've like 2 IPOs that I've gotten. So another thing, just because you apply, you might not get it. Like there could be 100 people applying for it, but there are only 50 allotments. So then if you're only among the 50, you will get it. The other 50 won't get it. So you need to also be lucky if it's a very famous IPO.
Investing. I mean, conventional methods of investing was gold, real estate.
Yeah. Gold and real estate are really good investment opportunities, but I think not as young adults right now. In real estate, again, if you're into the complete real estate side, then yeah, definitely. But as of now, if you're just buying a house as a 25, 26-year-old, it wouldn't make sense because right now we're not even sure where we're going to be working and living for the rest of our lives, right? If you buy a house now, you're kind of stuck here or wherever you were buying a house. And it's a lot more expensive, paying all the land taxes, going through all the procedures every year, renewing your deed, all of that with the government. It's an expensive thing that you might not think of once. Especially as Indian kids, first thing is like get a job, buy a car, get a house. That's the mainstream goal, right? Yeah.
Order.
Exactly. So I think we need to also learn to stem away from those kind of realities that what do you say, like it's just programmed into us, like get a job, buy a car, get a house, get married, that sequence of orders in our life, tick tick tick, exactly. So I think that's what also limits us from thinking about our financial literacy and financial freedom, because at the age of 25 itself, you buy a house, then you're not financially free anymore, right? You have debt to pay, you have interest, you have principal to pay every month. So that will also limit you from taking risks at a young age, where it is recommended that we can take more risks when we are young, right? We can afford to lose money. So yeah, it's more of, I think, more than investing, I think it's more of like human psychology and our Indian mentality that we need to change about what we can do with our money. Like it's okay to save money to buy an Xbox. It's okay to save money to go and travel. You don't really have to save money to buy a house and a car, Like sometimes it's okay to splurge on yourself.
I think our habits are slowly changing. Like in the future, like car ownership or even real estate house ownership.
Yeah.
These are changing. So I mean, I think with autopiloting smart vehicles,
Yeah.
the ownership ideas might change. Like we wouldn't, as a generation, we might not invest in cars anymore or even houses. Like you said, it'll tie you down financially and also like geographically. You gotta be there, or I mean, you
Yeah.
can rent it and stuff, but it is a liability at this point. So maybe in future, nobody really would want to build their own home. They would rather just pay a small amount on rent, or maybe there are other forms of housing ideas that
Exactly.
are yet to be made.
In the current form, like if we try to implement those, I believe it's someone else is just going to be controlling it and profiting from us.
Yeah.
There's that.
I had a question about how gender plays a role in this. I had thought
How?
about it. How is it different for women and men? Because one of my friends was saying there are differences in spending habits and saving, and how women, especially in India, they look at money, or how they are trusted with money. I mean, trusted with, because it is another system, patriarchal system. So maybe, I don't know.
Again, I think that would differ from the kind of family and where geographically also where they're from. Like if they're from a smaller town, their mentality and their ideas of money and saving would be different. Like
Definitely.
and especially if you're from a larger town, or if you're a little more educated and a little more outwardly, maybe if I may say, if you know what the world is, I think again your mentality would change depending on what you. So again, I think it depends on your priorities. So if you're a single child, male, female, it's different. Like sometimes you'll have to send money to your family, to your mom and dad. So then again, it reduces your savable or investable income, right? Because you earn 50,000, out of 50,000, if you're sending 20,000 to your family, you have 30,000 left. So out of the 30,000, you need to again save some money to invest, save. So I think it's a very vast and very the scenario would change depending on everybody's individual situation. But yeah, I think gender does, like you said, gender does play a certain amount. And also, the age or the order in which you're born, like the older you are, compared to your siblings, you might have a little more responsibility, especially in the Indian family. So your savable income would be different from, how much you can actually earn and you save and all that. Yeah.
I agree. That's a very true point about how siblings and how even that plays a role.
Yeah.
Again, in the Indian context, true.
Yeah, again, yeah, in the Indian context.
And I would like to say self-discipline is very important. That's weirdly underrated, and I think that's something we feel like. I think Reuben and me, like we spoke about this yesterday, right? Like internal deadlines.
Yeah.
So like the easiest way that we can make sense of it is like when we have tasks to do at work, there's that pressure on us, and like we will get it done, but we don't give ourselves the same respect for like our own wishes, and so that's really got to change. Like we need to have a lot more self-discipline.
And I think also the ability to say no. Like you might be invited to different parties, going out different times, which will take money out of your pocket. Sometimes you might want to, sometimes you don't want to, but then social convention sometimes just tells us to go out, right? So I think that pressure to tell no, what, I don't want to, I'd rather cook at home today. Taking small decisions like I'd rather make food at home, or I'd rather, walk to the supermarket than take my scooter and spend petrol. Small decisions that we can make in our lives. Again, I'm not saying I do all of that. I'm just saying these are things that we can think about slowly implementing in our lives, that it starts to build up and becomes a habit.
Definitely small steps,
baby steps.
Yeah, so I hope like this conversation helps us facilitate and streamline our own financial decisions and self-discipline. If any of our viewers haven't already started this path, I hope we've kind of given an idea on what to expect and things that you can do to start. If you are even more seasoned experts or more experienced in personal finance, productivity, etc., you can comment in the video below with your ideas, tips. And also we have a Slack workspace. We'll be having a channel on personal life, and we can discuss topics on this as well. So the invitation to the Slack will be in the bio below. Please feel free to join us. You can find all of us on there. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
I mean, Reuben, it was fantastic to have you on board, dude. This
Likewise,
is our first time.
Yes.
And I enjoyed this conversation. So it was also very enlightening about certain things that I'm really weak at. And I feel a lot of our generation, our age, we don't take time to, like I'm not saying self-discipline. We don't take time for ourselves much. We just go on with daily lives. So it was fantastic to have you here, and you guys are great friends. I mean, I can understand why Aaron was like, we gotta have this guy on board. So
all right, okay. Yeah, I mean, by the way, it was great. I mean, it was an honor for me to be here as well. Like, especially talk about something that I'm also passionate about. This is also something like, for me personally, I would want to drive out there for like people to know and experience. Because I think it's quite important. It's a quite important topic. Speaking of also, I really enjoyed speaking with you guys. It was a great conversation for me as well. I was able to learn, and even while I'm explaining certain things, I'm able to understand, like, okay, I was doing that wrong. Maybe I can do this right next time. So, and it gave me a sense of clarity as well. Because, like I said, I'm also new to this. I'm also still learning and experiencing it. So yeah, it was great. It was a great conversation. I had a really great time. I'm so glad I took some time off on a weekend to do this. Like, otherwise I'd just be wasting my time. So I'm glad I did something productive and was part. I could meet you, Mahat. Like, it was great talking to you.
We gotta catch up soon.
Yeah, definitely.
We look forward to having you on again.
Sure. I look forward to
details.
Yeah. But this time maybe not a different topic, maybe not personal finance, but maybe something else. That maybe neither of us know about, so we could do some research and all gather around our points as well.
That's pretty much how we operate.
Nice. I like the sound of that. Yeah. Awesome.
Good.
Great, man. Yeah. So
catch everybody.
Also like, share, and subscribe to the future podcast.
Thank you for that shout.